Hi, my name is Nicholas. Welcome to this week's Yin practice. A few props that'll be handy for today are just having a couple of pillows nearby. It can be a soft block and a pillow. It can be a wrapped up blanket. Just a couple things for padding might be handy. And we'll get started in child's pose. So you can come and find your expression of the shape, whatever feels best to you today. If you want to take the knees nice and wide apart, go for it. If the knees need a little extra padding, then maybe a blanket or something underneath. And hips towards the heels. You can start to let the chest, the face come down towards the floor. And then see if anything needs a little support here. You can slide any props in that you need. Arms can be forward or back, out to the sides, elbows extended or bent. Whatever the head is resting into, maybe give the head a gentle rock side to side. Taking these first few moments of practice to check in with the body and see how it feels today. And when you feel ready to move on from the shape, you can start to walk the hands in towards the body, lifting yourself up, and sliding off to one side, bringing the legs out in front. And maybe a little bit of a windshield wiper of the knees side to side. Awesome. And then when you're ready, bring the left shin roughly parallel to the top edge of the mat, and then swing the right leg around, right shin roughly parallel to the long edge of the mat. And then see what this feels like. If it feels like you're leaning way over, you might choose to take one of your props underneath that left hip, the left thigh, and then see what angles work best. So if you want to bring either heel closer to the body, if that, especially if that helps make the knee feel a little more comfortable, then go for it. And then a few different places that you can fold from here. You could fold more to the direction of the knee or more to the direction of the foot or anywhere in between. So you might experiment a little bit and just see which one feels best. We will hold for a couple of minutes as well, so if you want to change halfway through, I'll let you know when we're about halfway through the shape and you can change it up. And then wherever you find yourself, make sure you have adequate support. If you find that something is hovering that wouldn't like to be and you have an extra prop nearby, then feel free to bring that in as well. Or if the floor feels a little far away. And if you want to explore shifting where you're folded, then go for it. you feel ready to slowly, with the support of the hands, start to lift yourself back up. And once you come up, we'll bring the right heel a little closer to the body, and if you have a prop under the left side, you can remove it. And we'll bring the right leg around, right foot steps outside of the left knee. And then make sure that this feels okay for you. If the bottom knee is sensitive, feel free to extend the bottom leg. If you need to add some height to the hips, then go for it. Right hand behind you, left arm to the ceiling, deep inhale. And as you exhale, twist towards the right. You can connect the arm to the elbow any way you like. And if you like to take the gaze over towards the right behind you, then go for it. And the next time you inhale, come back to center, then a counter twist. And then back to center as you're ready. We're going to send the right leg back towards the back of the room, this time setting up for pigeon pose, so a little bit different. So as you're ready, you can take that right leg out behind you, and then you can bring the hands to the floor, maybe shift the left knee a little further forward, and then start to walk that right leg back until the hips feel a little bit more level one side to the other. Here again, if you need a little more support, if the bum is hovering higher than feels comfortable, then you might slide a prop there. And know that the left shin doesn't have to be parallel with anything. So if you want to bring that heel closer to the body, if that makes the pose feel more accessible, then go for it. And you might take a peek back and see that the right foot is mostly pointing behind you as well. And from here, again, you can fold whenever you feel ready and find your expression of it. If the floor is a little far away, maybe a pillow under the elbows or something, and find something to support the head if you find that it's hovering uncomfortably. And settling into your pain-free expression. And start to think about your exit from the pose. I'm going to suggest a transition to downward facing dog. If you want something a little more gentle, then maybe you want to come to tabletop or child's pose. If you want movement, feel free to cat cow. You could also come out to a seat and maybe windshield wiper instead. If you are coming with me to down dog, then think about lifting the upper body back up, embracing the floor with the hands, and then you can bring that right knee a little bit closer, right foot closer. As you're ready, you might send the left leg straight up into the air behind you for a three-legged dog to see what that feels like. See if you need a little movement for the left hip especially, but maybe the right side needs something as well. And when you feel ready, you can come to any version of a downward facing dog. And again, you might explore movement within it or maybe stillness. And then think of whatever you choose as almost like a counter stretch for those three poses we just did. If you're in down dog, lowering the knees down to the floor, and then hips towards the heels, and we'll slide off towards the right this time. And you can send the right shin up, mostly parallel to the top edge, left shin mostly parallel to the long edge, and finding your deer pose here. If you find you're leaning further than you'd like to, then maybe support that right side. And again, the feet can come closer to the body any amount, especially if this makes the shape more accessible for the knees. And see where you'd like to fold from this side, and towards the knee, towards the foot, and somewhere in between. And it's okay if that needs to be a little different to where it was on the first side. I'll let you know when we're about halfway through the pose in case you want to change that up. And if you'd like to explore repositioning where you're folded, then go for it. And you feel ready to, with the support of the hands, slowly bringing yourself back up. If you have a prop underneath the right hip, you can move it. You can bring the right foot a little closer. And then reach around. We'll bring that left leg forward, step the left foot outside of the right knee. And finding your version of the shape and taking your time to set up. Bottom leg can extend. Left arm behind you, right arm reaches high. Inhale. And twist towards the left. Arm to the knee, any way you like. Maybe gaze towards the back wall. When you're ready, with an inhale, coming back to center, and then take a counter twist to the other side for a couple of breaths. Sweet, and then back to center as you're ready, setting for pigeon pose, so you can take the left leg back behind you, and maybe bringing that right knee forward, right shin a little forward, and then lifting the hips so that you can point the left leg mostly behind you, finding the angles that work best here, and again, adding props wherever you like some. Maybe that peak behind you, letting the hips settle, and then see what you need here. Again, you can stay upright for as long as you like. You can come down to the elbows, maybe beyond. Finding your pain-free expression of the shape and settling into it. As you feel ready, thinking about your exit, thinking about where you'd like to transition to, perhaps coming with me to down dog or somewhere else, finding a shape or movement. If the knees are lifted, then you can bring them down to the floor, bringing the hips towards the heels, and maybe give the wrists a little circling, a little shake out to release. And we'll set up our final shape. So this will be a seated hero pose, and it will also be the rest shape. I'll talk you through it, and if you find at any point while we're in it that it no longer feels comfortable or no longer feels like a restful shape, you can come out and you can come to an easy pose, child's pose, anything else that you prefer. You might choose to have your props nearby for this, and you will come to a kneeling position and slide the props between the hips, and then bring the knees closer together, and you can leave the feet nice and far apart, or as far as feels comfortable. And starting to walk the hips back to land on your props, and give yourself as much height as you need. If you need to go get a few more things, then go for it so that the knees can stay quiet. And even from here, you could use the hands to maybe even take the feet a little bit wider apart, exaggerating their internal rotation through the hips. So as you know, we'll be here for a couple of minutes, so make sure that this is a shape you'd like to stay in, and if not, feel free to come down to the back or any other quiet shape. Otherwise, the parts of the body that are touching the floor, let them ground down. The spine can be tall, but the shoulders soft. The hands wherever feel the most comfortable. And if the mind has wandered, guide it back to the body. And start to deepen the breath. If you're in hero pose with me, think about how you'd like to exit so you can come through a tabletop position, or maybe you can help one leg out and then the other. You can pause wherever you need to be. I'm in a squat supported by my props and taking a couple of breaths. Forward fold might feel good here as well. A windshield wiper if you prefer movement. And taking as much time as you need, come and find a comfortable seat whenever you feel ready to. You can use any of the props that you have around for support. Whatever's touching the floor can settle in, the spine can lengthen, hands can be wherever they've landed. And taking these last few moments of the practice to check in with the body and check in with the breath. And you might connect the hands at the heart or bow the chin to the chest. And thank you for sharing your practice today. Namaste. My name is Nicholas, and thank you for joining me for practice today. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, enjoy your evening.